October 21, 2019, Pacific Palisades, California. A brush fire started with 1 acre, grew to 30 acres within less than an hour. Okay.
Bring in fixed wing takers in. What I can tell you about the fires, I do not have the cause, but it started at the base of Palisades Drive and quickly ran up and spread to about 18 acres in a matter of about 15 minutes. We're at 30 acres now. Firefighters are working valiantly up there to keep the lines contained. We're going to be operating out of here at Fire Station 23 for about the next 10 hours, and then we'll have resources set up at Will Rogers State Beach. Currently, like I say, 30 acres, evacuations in place. We do not have reports of any injuries. I don't have reports of any structures damaged, but I do have structures threatened. Main message for the public is to kind of stay out of this area. We will have an evacuation center set up at Palisades Recreation Center, and if you need information, we'll also have public information officers there. At this point, it's probably best if I take some initial questions because I got to get back onto the firefight.
All right, so this is a live report. Let's see what they're saying. That's where I stopped it when I first saw it. All right. I'm not saying anything. Well, it looks like they may have contained it. Hoping. Nope. They're trying to. They're trying to. Well, what tens of thousands of Californians are experiencing up north, down south, you're going to be experiencing, if you haven't already, home owners insurance skyrocketing or being canceled. Okay, so I will link to everything below. All right, PG&E preparing for another outage next week. North Bay planning for a possible power outage later this week for all or parts of 17 counties spanning the North Bay to the Sierra Nevada foothills due to forecasts of warm, dry, and windy weather. Yeah, that's what utility companies do when it's warm, windy, dry. Well, this is your new normal. All right. Heartbreaking what is happening to an awful lot of Californians.
Companies saying your policy no longer covers fire damages. You're not alone.
Folsom Lake area, those people are slotted for cancellation now. Loomis, Newcastle, Rockland.
Aurora Mollett is president of Intrinsic Insurance. She says wildfires like the Tubbs Fire and Camp Fire have started to change how companies are looking at fire insurance.
These homes that were in certain what's called fire scores, fire line scores, and brush scores that, according to the modeling, should never have burned, ended up burning.
They cut the grass up here, so they maintain their defensible space.
Real estate broker Ken Calhoun says the increased cost is causing a lot of people to move away from their rural properties in El Dorado County.
We have more houses listed. They're taking longer to sell. We're seeing fewer multiple offers on those properties.
Calhoun says other costs are also going up.
It's like PG&E costs are going up. We're faced with outages or the potential of outages. Fire insurance just adds to that cost if you can get fire insurance.
But Mollett says those who are no longer being offered fire protection still have options.
For a customer, the strongest thing that I can recommend is that they get in contact with an independent broker so they can really make sure that they've exhausted their efforts.
And how many people can pay for an independent broker? You do have the FAIR plan in California, government insurance, but let's check out what else is happening with an awful lot of people.
And
it seems that ever since the Paradise issue happened, and with all the exposure that these insurance companies have had, it's almost impossible to get written.
49er Jack, as he likes to be called, has lived in the same Granite Bay home for 24 years with the same insurance company and never had a fire. So when his insurance company canceled him, he reached out to a few brokers and was shocked to see his rates had quadrupled.
I got a couple of bids for $12,000 to $16,000, and that's just not realistic.
Jack got this notice of non-renewal, saying his property had poor accessibility for firefighters, high wind possibility, and was close to natural brush. But he says the same could be said for many of the homes in the foothills.
So what most of the insurance companies have done is they've encompassed us into one geographical area.
The California Insurance Commission says property owners need to know their rights when it comes to non-renewals, that the notice must be given 45 days prior to expiration, it must contain reasons, and it must have a phone number for questions or complaints. And if there is a problem, it must have a referral to the California Department of Insurance. After 3 weeks of calling around, Jack finally found coverage from an out-of-state carrier, but he wants to get the word out.
This problem is huge.
He worries what cancellations and skyrocketing rates will do for home sales across the area, and says the state-sponsored FAIR plan just isn't enough.
Yes, that FAIR plan. Well, let's see.
This peaceful land belongs to Laura and Charlie Callahan.
We keep our property pretty well clear. As you look down the hill there, you can see we're pretty well cleaned up.
They've lived on these 10 acres atop a hill in El Dorado County for more than 25 years.
I'd hate to have to leave all that because I've got to live somewhere where it's a lot less expensive.
Back in April, they got what folks around here know simply as the letter.
We had our homeowners insurance for over 20 years, and we got the letter, as people refer to it, and we were canceled. Between errors and things like that, we've been canceled 3 times, and so hopefully this time will stick. But I'm now paying 4 times what I was paying before. It's gone from less than $1,000 a year to almost $4,000 a year. And we're on a fixed income. He's retired, I'm retiring, and it wasn't something we expected.
The Callahans aren't alone.
Some people are paying more for their homeowners insurance than they are for their mortgages.
The El Dorado County Board of Supervisors recently surveyed homeowners. Hundreds of people said their insurance was either canceled or the price was sharply increased. The situation board chair, Sue Novosel, calls dire.
If you don't have fire insurance, you're not going to be able to either stay in your home, maintain your home, or God forbid have to sell that home. You can't do that if you don't have fire insurance. So it's going to affect California in a lot of other ways other than just having insurance. It's going to affect our real estate market. It's going to affect our economy.
It prompted Novosel to write a letter to California's Insurance Commissioner, Ricardo Lara.
We have home.
And I will tell you that Ricardo Lara has just been saying that we need the power. We need the power to, I don't know, tell insurance companies that they must provide, excuse me, they must provide insurance. Well, there have been those meetings quite recently, and so far, well, not much has happened.
Well, I want to show you this. We were just at this packed meeting tonight. It was a packed house tonight at the State Insurance Commissioners. They were launching a series of town hall meetings. Many homeowners looking at canceled policies or very high premiums that continue to go up. The first meeting in Grass Valley was standing room only. The state had to open a second viewing area, as a matter of fact. And so I want to bring in our Becca Hubbecker. You were there at this packed meeting, and you got some numbers to show what these folks are dealing with.
Yeah,
right?
Chris, take a look at this. I gave people this marker and I said, tell me what you used to pay for homeowners insurance and tell me what you're paying now. The numbers are incredible. Everyone on this list is paying at least double now what they used to. Half of them are paying more than triple their annual premiums. It's incredible. A lot of them are on the California FAIR plan. That's not taxpayer dollars, but that is a state-established fund from decades ago that is meant as an insurance option of last resort for wildfire insurance. And now for many, many people, it's the insurance of their only resort, sadly.
And so then the question is, what is the state doing about this?
That's a great question. Well, the Insurance Commissioner, Ricardo Lara, was speaking at this meeting. It was our first chance to ask him that question. What he wants is state lawmakers to give his department more authority to hold these insurance companies accountable.
So you went from $24.83 a year.
Yeah, to would be $48.85.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Grizzard is on the same page as Colleen Durkin, who used to pay $947 a year for homeowners insurance. And now what are you looking at?
$2,300 less coverage.
We're located just outside Nevada City, and they dumped us last month.
Keith Markison used to pay $1175 for full coverage through Travelers.
And now we have to pay $3,500 for the Fair California Fair plus $780 for Travelers.
Insurance policies are getting canceled or premiums are skyrocketing. Following back-to-back years of record wildfires, insurance companies are saying no thanks to California. So what is Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara going to do about it?
We want lawmakers to give us the authority to say that you have to, as an insurance company, write in these communities because people have done what we've asked them to do, harden their homes, get that defensible space. So currently we're in negotiations with the governor and with the legislature, and we feel that we can, come to an agreement where we make sure that we have a strong insurance market, but that we also do something for our consumers. We have to find that appropriate balance. This is why we're saying, if you've done everything to harden your home, as a community, you continue to mitigate these wildfires, that you should write. We're not saying that every single household will be forced to, we're forcing the insurance companies to write, but if you've done everything to protect your home, you should be able to write in these communities. We think that's
Okay, so they should be able to write in these communities. People don't understand that this is a deliberate plan to get people out of certain areas, to create hardship where people have to move because they cannot afford to live in these areas. If they don't have insurance, how can they sell their homes? But it's not just happening in California with the fires. It's also happening in those flood-prone areas. And the flood-prone areas, well, have changed. You may be sitting in a flood-prone area and you don't know it, so you should check FEMA's flood map, their update. All right. Other things that you need to consider? Okay, and 70,000 California wildfire victims may miss out on payments. I'm just throwing this out there, so if any of you know people who have been affected by the fires in Paradise, then I hope that you ask them, did they sign on to this lawsuit against PG&E? So Monday is the deadline. I hope that's next Monday. Well, yeah, it's today. Shit. October 19. Well, the deadline was today. Well, it's 2 p.m., so concerned that as many as 70,000 victims may miss out on payments, attorneys filed court papers Friday to alert the bankruptcy judge that wildfire survivors, many still traumatized and struggling to get back on their feet, aren't aware of their rights to file a claim. People really are overwhelmed and don't understand what they need to do. That was Cicely Dumas, an attorney for the Official Committee of Tort Claimants, a group appointed by the court to represent all wildfire victims in the bankruptcy. Renters, low-income people were simply too exhausted by their day-to-day circumstances to deal with it. Many victims said in court papers supporting a deadline extension that the legal notice didn't reach them because they have been displaced, or if they did receive it, they mistook it as a scam. Some said they thought they couldn't pursue a claim because PG&E is bankrupt, or that they weren't eligible to make a claim since they already received money from their insurance company. Others thought they couldn't make a claim without a lawyer. A 91-year-old, Elizabeth Davis, she didn't think she could file a claim because she got out alive. I never received any information that PG&E has billions of dollars available. I thought I was not qualified. A man who said his house in Paradise was destroyed by fire 3 months after he bought it said he learned through social media that he could recover money from PG&E for his losses. So many people just don't know. Many are still traumatized and overwhelmed. And let me tell you, when you're traumatized and overwhelmed, very hard to think and make decisions in your best interest. So you really need people that are not traumatized and overwhelmed to help you out. Wildfire survivors can additionally claim for hardships such as lost wages, lost business, emotional distress. Renters can seek to recover the cost of finding alternate housing, but who knows how much? I mean, PG&E's in bankruptcy proceedings, so who knows what these victims are actually going to, the amount of compensation. Anyway, yeah, a lot going on, guys. So many people are getting so screwed, and the hardship just continues to increase, and more fall into that hardship bubble. Yeah. All links are below.